In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda under public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or group, including an address that you may be representing by such person or group, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, and group, and whether you're speaking in favor or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please call the first item of business?
Our first item of business on today's council agenda for Monday, April 11th, 2022 is our Mayor's Award of Excellence.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bowers, members of the council. It is a pleasure to stand before you today to present the Mayor's Award of Excellence for November 2021 to police investigators Timothy Cronin and Matthew Franken. They were nominated by Sergeant Mike Ripley in the category of productivity for their efforts to resolve a 2.5-year homicide investigation that resulted in the conviction of 5 individuals in July of 2021. Now, both of these team members are permanent investigators with the Criminal Investigation Unit. Their responsibilities include conducting major case follow-up on homicides and robberies, sexual assaults, and felony assaults. So back in July of 2018, uniformed officers responded to a report of a shooting at a residence, and after finding the victim with a fatal gunshot wound to the neck, officers also located several of the victim's children in the house. And during the initial investigation, they determined that multiple suspects had unlawfully entered the victim's home and restrained the children. The victim was shot when she responded to the commotion. The investigation also determined that the victim's boyfriend was present and hid marijuana after the shooting. And to make matters even more complicated for our investigators, the boyfriend was uncooperative during the interview with officers. Cronin and Franken got a break in the case from a home video surveillance system. They learned that 4 individuals previously tried to break into the home, but were scared away by the victim. Video from the night of the homicide showed the suspects entering the home and one firing a handgun at the house as they left. Still photographs from the video were released to the public to help generate leads in the case. And after receiving information on the identity of the suspects, arrest warrants were issued. Further information indicated that the suspects were in Omaha and Texas. Investigators Cronin and Franken collaborated with other law enforcement agencies to locate the suspects and to coordinate surveillance until arrests could be made for first-degree murder. Following the arrests, our investigators, Cronin and Franken, continued to work diligently to obtain critical information that led to the arrest of another individual for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. And due to the team's thorough work on this case, the U.S. Attorney's Office chose to prosecute. And they worked with the Assistant U.S. Attorney to ensure that witnesses cooperated and that all the evidence was able to be presented at trial. In June 2021, all the individuals responsible for this homicide were sentenced to lengthy prison terms. In his nomination of our investigators, Sergeant Ripley wrote, quote, "The amount of dedication and professionalism shown by investigators Franken and Cronin was crucial to the successful outcome of this case and also provided closure to the children and other family members who still suffer from the trauma of this event." Our work can be quite serious here at the city, and it's good to know that we have incredibly serious professionals who get the job done. I hope you will please join me in congratulating investigators Cronin and Franken and for their hard work and their commitment to the city of Lincoln. Assistant Police Chief Jason Stilley is going to share a few comments about his team, and then we'll ask the winners of this award to have a few remarks.
Assistant Chief Jason Stilley, Lincoln Police Department. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the council for taking time out of your day to recognize these two fantastic employees. It always strikes me when I come to these, I listen to them, not only the ones that involve our employees, but the employees from other agencies in the city. And normally what you hear is it's a team effort. And that is absolutely true for policing, because policing is a team sport. And it really starts with the community wanting to trust the police and make the call or to cooperate with us. It continues on with skilled dispatchers and responding officers to stabilize chaotic scenes. It continues on with crime scene investigators that painstakingly locate, catalog evidence. It takes skilled investigators to follow up on those leads in those cases. It takes great prosecutors to get that case across the goal line. And maybe most importantly, it takes the family of our law enforcement professionals that provide stability at the home front and make sure that they can do these things that we ask them to do at all hours of the day, all days of the week, and sometimes outside of our jurisdiction. So you will see in media accounts, not only this case, but other cases, their names pop up a lot because they're involved in the most egregious cases that we have in the city, and they do a fantastic job. As the mayor stated, this started in 2018. It was a home invasion. It was motivated by marijuana, where a mother lost her life. It shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. And to put the pieces back together and give closure to the family, we fortunately have two investigators like Tim and Matt that do this job, and they do it very, very well. So thank you very much for your efforts on this case and every other case. And thank you to Sergeant Ripley for putting pen to paper and elevating this case so they could be recognized. Thank you.
Would you both like to come forward and say a few words, introduce your family if they're here?
I'm Tim Cronin. I just like to thank you guys for supporting us during all this. Jason couldn't have said it any different. It takes a total team effort, and I thank all my colleagues for helping us out as well. But thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll just echo what Captain or Chief Stilley said. It really is a team effort. You see a lot of our teammates in the back there. It's all for one and one for all, and we do this together. We were able to get to know the family of Jessica Brandon pretty closely throughout this, and I can tell you that it was without their support we wouldn't have been able to finish this case, because they were patient, they were kind with us while we worked through this case, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm thankful for not only their family but all of our families. Thank you all for your support very much.
Do you want to ask your families to say hello?
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, next on our council agenda would be sections 1 and 2.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on items 1 or 2? Is there anyone here? What's that? What's that? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on items 1 or 2? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on these items. I'll be calling item 1A, reappointment of Tom Randa to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Board of Health for a term to expire April 15th, 2025. Introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Raybold,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1B is reappointment of Nancy Grove Hall to the Historic Preservation Commission for terms to expire April 15th, 2025, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is reappointment of Melissa Durr Gangler to the Historic Preservation Commission for term to expire on April 15th, 2025, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1D is setting the Board of Equalization hearing date of Monday, May 2nd, 2022, at 3 p.m. on the College View Business Improvement District, Havelock Business Improvement District, North 27th Street Business Improvement District, South Street Business Improvement District, University Place Business Improvement District, and the West O Street Business Improvement District, introduced by Schob.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 2A was introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes our consent agenda. We'll move on to section 4, public hearing liquor resolutions. I'll be calling item 4A, application of Sidecar Cider LLC, doing business as Cerro Cider, for the addition of a catering license to their Class CL liquor license at 1746 N Street.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? You want to come on up and tell us your name and your address?
My name is Tracy Sanford. I reside at 2829 South 24th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Would you tell us a little bit about your application?
We are applying for a catering license to supplement our SDL activity that we do. It allows us to do a little bit more of that kind of work.
Are there any questions from the council? Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on item 4A? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on.
Item 4B is application of Val Limited, doing business as Valentino's, for a change in location of their existing Class C liquor license from 2820 Pine Lake Road, Suite 1 to 1501 Pine Lake Road, Suite 9 and 10.
Members of the council, thank you. What we're doing here is just changing the location of this Class C license from 2820 Pine Lake, where we've been for several years, to 1501 Pine Lake Road. We were unable to negotiate our current lease at 2820 Pine Lake Road with the owners of the South Point Shopping Center. And our Class C license is still active at 2820. And we closed that location on the 4th of April, 4/4/22, and opened the location 4/8/22 at 1501. We're not currently selling alcohol at this new location. This location is 2,840 square feet and features carry-out, delivery, dining room, and catering. The current alcohol license at 28th and Pine Lake did drive sales in the dining until we closed it because of the COVID pandemic. We intend to open the new dining room in the near future when we secure the transfer of our Class C liquor license. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Would you please state your name and address? For
I'm sorry, Mike Alicio. I'm a co-owner of Valentino's. My cousin and I own the company.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on item 4B? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 4C is application of Fast Taco LLC, doing business as Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 35 feet by 100 feet at 800 Q Street on May 5th, 2022, between 2 p.m. and 11:55 p.m.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item?
He was here last week.
The applicant was here last week, so is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on item 4C? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Mr. Chair, seeing no one else coming forward on items 4A, B, and C, I'd like to move approval on these three items.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that concludes our section 4. We'll move on to section 5, public hearing resolutions. I'll be calling item 5A, accepting and approving the reports of new and pending claims against the city for March 16th through March 31st, 2022.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item?
Yes, thank you. I'm a very nervous Nancy Black. Everybody that gets up here looks so calm. I don't know how. Okay. I had a car, oh, thank you. That'll be first. I had a car accident on October 11th of 2021. And I was doing nothing wrong other than going down South 40th Street. This is a picture of the exact location. I keep referring to the hill when I talk to people on South 40th, and right down here is Rokeby. And they don't know what I'm talking about. There is a hill. So what happened is, and I don't recall ever being on this stretch of road. I was trying to get to 40th and Yankee Hill, but did not know Yankee Hill was closed. So I had to go down to Sotillo, come back and take 40th.
Thank you.
This is exactly the way this section of road looked on October 11th. The speed limit sign, and I was doing 43 because my speedometer froze at 43. No construction, no warning signs of any kind. So coming down, and I believe I have the handout. This is what was at the bottom of this hill. You are not able to see this entire roadway of asphalt missing from here. So when I came over, I've got about 2 seconds. And here's what I'm looking at. And I apologize for all the pixels. This picture was taken on the phone of Officer Murphy. She would not let me go out and take my own because it was too dangerous. So she had me take a picture on her phone. That's why it's that way. But this right here you can see is asphalt that is missing. Now there were 2 notarized letters turned in of citizens who drive Monday through, well, one of them Thursday, the other Monday through Friday on this stretch to get out to Hickman, Monday through Friday. 2 witnesses stopped, and the first witness, he also travels this road Monday through Friday, and this stretch has been this way for almost 2 months. This is not an overnight. The asphalt is missing because of all of the side dumper trucks hauling dirt from Bryan and CHI projects, at least 100 trips a day. So what happened is the first witness who had stopped and testified to the officer and then came and said the same thing to myself. On Sunday, so somewhere on Friday, which would have been what, the 8th of October, after he traveled this after work, this section was not poured of asphalt. Coming over Sunday on his way to church, he came over, hit that asphalt and said he could hardly maintain his vehicle. His vehicle is a 4x4 pickup, okay? My vehicle is a Cadillac CTS. When I came over, you go down the hole, this asphalt poured is approximately this deep. This asphalt is what totaled my car. And you can tell it's recently been poured. You go down, you come up and hit this asphalt, and at that moment, I heard the loudest noise, and I felt like the bottom of my car was gone. Came down the other side and back up. Right here, my car was out of control. It was turned to the left at 43 miles an hour. Both feet are on the brake. I've got the steering wheel. I can't control it. I started doing 360s. There were 2 pickups because when I came down, I'm trying to figure out, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? On the right are construction cones that if they were not there, I would have considered going down the embankment coming up. To the left, oncoming traffic. I saw 2 pickup trucks. So my only choice was to go in that hole. I immediately did 2 360s in oncoming lane. Both witnesses testified they saw me driving appropriately and they knew I was going to hit that hole. So they had stopped. I did 2 more down the embankment and at least 3 or 4 more in that field. I am out of control. 43 miles an hour spinning. I am scared. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't stop. Right after I hollered that out loud in my car, all of a sudden there's a 3-foot ravine in the middle of that field I dropped into. Thank goodness, because it stopped me. It saved my life. Thank you so much, you're good. This is after the repairs to this hole. That's not a pothole. So I don't know why the city thought that this was a good idea to put this asphalt strip, but coming up and hitting it, I immediately knew something happened to my car. I didn't know about a right axle braking. I didn't understand that you can't control a car. I can't figure out what's going on. But that is a huge section of repairs done. The end result, I'm in a field. I've got 4 airbags that have, thank you, that have gone off. I've got, since I'm down, I've got all the dead, weeds or whatever from the field over my windshield. I can't see. I can't see out of my car. I hear the 2 guys from those pickups running down saying, "We've called 911, we've called 911, are you okay?" And I said, "Get me out of here." At this point, I'm claustrophobic. I can't move. I don't know where I'm at. The gentleman got a knife. We couldn't cut the airbags. The ravine was keeping my door from getting open. See, I'm really nervous, and I'm still traumatized by this spinning. I spun for 2 days. So anyway, they had to dig out part of the dirt and dent my door. I don't care. They got me out. And I was so shaken. Officer Murphy arrived on the scene. After talking to the witnesses, myself, seeing my car out in that field, I commend her because she spent approximately 30 minutes investigating that scene, this accident scene. I only know that what she stated was she called the supervisor of street repairs from the accident and referred to him as a he. And I heard part of that conversation, but the fact that there was no construction caution whatsoever. It was still at 45 miles an hour. It didn't slow down. It didn't, go to a slower speed. It didn't say danger. It didn't say hole. During her conversation, well, he was on the phone. She put the phone down and she said, I heard her say, I'll bet she didn't see it. She put the phone down and said, did you happen to see the sign that said bump? I said, no, it was. Here's what the sign that said bump was. And I tell you, that's the last thing I'm looking for. Right here at the side of the hole, because I looked after the fact, there was a sign there. There was an orange sign that said bump. Well, that didn't do me any good. Should have been up on that roadway. But there was no caution whatsoever. I didn't do anything wrong that day. I was just trying to go to the dentist. My car is totaled. I called my insurance company the next day, and this is embarrassing. I'm an insurance agent, but I don't do property casualty. So being State Farm, since I was 16, I let Allstate take all of my business work comp car and move it over. On October 12th, I found out the reason my rates were cheaper, they wrote liability only on my Cadillac because it was paid for. And you've got to be kidding me. No, you have, because I called and said, my car is totaled and I need a rental. I had no insurance. So I am out, my Cadillac, which was beautiful, and I didn't do anything wrong. This was not my fault. This was the city's lack of advertising. There should have been some warning, but I'm telling you, it's that asphalt strip, because that's when I heard the bottom of my car sound like it was going to stay in the street. There's a difference, excuse me, there's a difference between the claim, the tort claim that was filed, and the actuality of it. The tort claims are confusing, so I had the assistance of a party in Washington, D.C. do it for me. And they thought using the current value of my car in March was what they should file with you. Wrong. What was filed, I look at it and so with an insurance company, what was my car worth at the time of the loss? It just so happens on October 6th, 5 days before my accident, I went on Kelly's Blue Book, used very good condition, not excellent, and looked at the average. It's $3,000 more than claimed, excuse me. And the reason, why would I look at my value 5 days before my accident? Because October 1st, my car was up for license plate renewal. And I wanted to know the value because I can't believe that I still have to pay that much for plates. So that's why I looked at it, because it was a large amount, I thought, for renewal. And it just so happens it was 1 week before my accident, excuse me. So I'm asking, I feel, I've got witness statements, I didn't do anything wrong. I've got statements that had been there almost 2 months and was just getting worse. Construction crews had been on that section from the roundabout to there, continually making pothole repairs and everything else on that section. There's over 200 repairs on that stretch of road. And I guess I hope you make me whole, because I didn't do anything wrong that day. This was not my fault. Any questions?
Yeah, so here's the process of how it'll go. Since you provided an opening statement, the council then will have an opportunity to ask you questions. And then after that, I'll ask you to have a seat. And then if any of the council wants to speak to any of the city staff, then we'll ask questions out of city staff.
Perfect.
Once the city staff and anyone else has an opportunity to come and provide public comment, we'll then give you an opportunity to come up and provide a rebuttal for 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, so are there any questions from the council at this point for Ms. Black?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none, thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from the council for any city staff? Jane, did you have one? Councilwoman Raybold?
Yes, I'd like to know the details from city law on the denial, and then if there were any other signs present indicating that there was construction going on.
John C. Christie, City Attorney. You asked for city law, but I will let the Director of Transport Utilities, Ms. Elliott, provide some details.
Thank you. Liz Elliott, Director of Lincoln Transportation and Utilities. There were additional signs. So starting back as far as Saltillo, there were roadwork signs. There was also cones in various places in the middle of the road, on the sides of the road. As we get to the closer to that, there is the bump sign that Ms. Black mentioned. Oops, wrong one, Zoom, sorry. So this was taken by the officer the day of. There's the speed limit sign that Ms. Black referenced. Here's the bump sign. This is a 3-foot sign, 3 foot high, 3 foot wide, and it's about a foot off the ground, so add that on, it's about 4 feet up. Then you can see the cones here, which is the cones outside this area where Ms. Black was talking about and had pictures of at that time as well. Farther, so this is coming from the south heading north. The additional roadwork signs would have been between this bump sign and Saltillo, heading in that direction. It was Monday, it was during the daylight hours. This was something that there was a lot of construction traffic for the development projects going on in that neighborhood. It was one where street maintenance was out regularly repairing. Due to the nature of the trucks and the weight of the trucks, it would frequently open back up. So we made sure that there was plenty of signage. The signage is consistent with industry standards, and these are signs that are MUTCD approved and what would be placed in situations like this. Our traffic engineers and team were out there on a regular basis. It was their opinion prior to this accident that although the road was rough and not in great shape, they did determine that it was, with appropriate signing, that it was safe for it to be open to traffic. After this accident, after looking at it at an abundance of caution, we did decide to close this road on Wednesday, so it would have been about 2 days later. We did close it to make more permanent, I wouldn't say permanent, stronger temporary measures in place, and then we reopened it back up again. That one is, we believe in this, that drivers, as we all are, who have a duty to maintain a visibility of the road, this would have been an open and obvious danger, especially with the signage that was clear and apparent to passersby, was a road that was safe for open to traffic. And believe so today, that it was safe to travel with the precautions there. Although the mileage, the speed was not reduced by us, I believe it's reasonable to expect that as us as drivers have a duty to make sure that we're traveling safe for conditions, and maybe we have to reduce our speed on our own without the speed limit. The speed limit's just a maximum of what we can drive. We believe it was safe for a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilwoman Raybould?
A follow-up question is, what are the conditions needed to require road construction signs to go up to, say, reduced speed? Like bump ahead?
Right. It's kind of a case-by-case basis on that. I don't know that there's necessarily any specific, you have to meet A, B, and C before you put it out. I do believe that is kind of a judgment call made by the traffic engineers.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Washington?
Director Elliott, where would the first sign have been? You said there were other signs between Saltillo and this point.
There were, I don't have the exact, what they said was between that area and the bump sign, it said road work ahead, and then also had some other orange cones in and around the entire strip.
And do you know what the speed limit is going north on 40th there from Saltillo? Is it a consistent 45? Does it drop from 55 to 45?
It is.
I don't know.
At that time, I guess I can't say if they did reduce it. Normally, it's 55 miles an hour south of Rokeby in that area.
Okay.
At that time, I just don't know for sure if they had done a straight across the board reduction to 45 or not. I can confirm that if you would like.
Councilman McGinnis?
Questions on the asphalt patch that was put in through the middle?
Right, yes.
Who put that in? Would that have been the city or the contractor, or?
I believe it was the city. I didn't confirm that, but I have no reason to believe that it was someone else other than us, but I believe it was LTU.
And the reason for the bump in the middle of the ditch?
My guess on that is when they installed that patch, it was a flatter surface, and then as the trucks drove over it within the day of or a few days before, it just gave way. And so they typically would not do a patch
that's
like that with an indentation. They would have tried to fill in. So I'm guessing that patch was probably a day or two before, and then it gave away. Unfortunately, given the condition of that road, the weight of all of the construction trucks that were going, they could fill it one day and it would be broken open the next. So that would not be uncommon.
Any other questions from council members? The only question that I had was, have there been any other, I guess this might be LTU or city law or both, have there been any other reports of any other accidents that have happened in that stretch of land?
I'm not aware of any other accidents. We did get C-Click Fix up, throughout this entire project on that, which our crews went out and repaired as quickly as possible. But I'm not aware of any other accidents.
Okay, so like no other claims have come into the city regarding getting into an accident or damage to their car?
I'm not aware of,
stretch of land?
on this stretch, I'm not aware of any.
I am not aware of any other claims, but, I can't say that I can't stand up here in front of you and say that I did a search before I came over here.
Okay. Any other questions from council members? Okay, thank you both so much. What we'll do now is we'll see if anyone.
I was going to ask if she could keep that picture back up for a second.
Is that okay?
Yeah, same thing.
Absolutely.
So I'll ask if there's anyone in the public that would like to provide public comment at this time.
I would.
Yep, and so then seeing that there's no one else from the public, you have an opportunity to provide a 5-minute rebuttal.
Okay.
And you can kind of rebut any information, and then
Okay.
The council has opportunity to ask questions.
Regarding this sign that says bump, this was not there. If you look at this sign compared to the picture that you have in your hand, this, this does not have the hole. The hole that I fell down into, the hole would be back here. So that means this sign is actually after you've gone through the hole. Okay? Because the hole's behind it. That sign was not there. Any signs or road construction would be on the picture. If you want me to pull it out again, I can. But on that stretch of road where there's a hill and you can't see over the hill, you can't see that damage. The only sign there was 45, and it does go from 55 to 45. I noticed that. But it didn't have any caution, no signs. In fact, I heard Officer Murphy arguing with the supervisor of street maintenance about the fact that there were no signs. She spent a half hour walking that stretch, and that was one of the arguments. That's when she turned and said, I'll guarantee you she didn't see it. Did you see the bump sign? It was directly next to the hole. And the reason for those cones was a hindrance because it didn't allow me to go around. Now, statements prior from Nicole Moss, Hayden Moss, and the witness, those cones had been placed around the hole. So it allowed people to go to the right on the shoulder, or if no oncoming traffic, to the left. I couldn't. Whoever did that strip left the cones along the side of the embankment. Oncoming trucks, I've got nowhere to go. But there were no signs, and as far as other accidents reported versus damage, I'll guarantee you there was a lot of damage. That strip just newly being poured and me going over it, I would not have been going 43 if there was bump. Yesterday I was at 27th and Saltillo. There were 2 different sections where it said construction ahead, road work, and then a sign that said bump. The bump was that thick from where they had taken the asphalt to where you were going onto the street again. 2 different sections over just going up that much. This is a crater, and for the city to be aware of it, to let it go for almost 2 months and decide all the construction signs that she's noting, they were put for the southbound traffic. I'm going north. From that roundabout to Rokeby. That's where construction was done for the 2 weeks prior. They completed on Friday, the 8th, all of the construction trucks, the rototillers, whatever, all the equipment that they would have used, it was gone. They had completed that job, but the warning and construction signs were down there for southbound. I'm going northbound. Nothing. One sign, and it was kind of a little too late. at the side of the hole. But the fact that the city was aware of this, I could have been killed. Anybody could have. This was a danger. They knew it was, they were aware of it. And what they were repairing for that 2 weeks were little potholes. If you drive out there, there's over 200, you can see of their asphalt, doing those little repairs on the oncoming lane, and the cones go all the way to Rokeby, which is 35 feet from that hole. So it's just inexcusable for them to keep going by and ignoring, because they would have had to have closed that lane, and that would have dampened CHI and Brian getting that dirt out. So any questions? Yes.
Councilwoman Raybold?
Ms. Black, thank you very much. So in looking at that photo right there, am I looking north or am I looking south?
Well, my understanding is that, this right here would be Rokeby, right? It's kind of hard for me to tell too, but I'm guessing it because of Rokeby. I don't know of any other street. You know, I came down Saltillo onto 40th. I'm not familiar with the stretch of road, but if you look, right here is Rokeby, where the police car is. This is Rokeby, okay? It's 35 feet away from this Rokeby intersection. So this doesn't make any sense to me, because that bump sign would have to be, where's the hole? It's not in the picture. Where's the huge, newly asphalted, fixed portion of that road? It's not in the picture. So there's no way that sign is prior to this hole. That's after. The hole's missing, the repairs are missing. And if that is Rokeby, which it had to be because this hole's 35 feet to the south of Rokeby.
Thank you.
And there were no signs. And in the police officer's notes, it states that. It also states that the cause and the party responsible for my accident and for damages was the city of Lincoln. And at that point, she hung up and went, ooh, he's not happy with me, whoever he is. She just referred to him as a supervisor. So in the officer's notes, that was her belief.
Councilwoman Washington?
City Clerk, Sony, I'm sorry. Would you mind expanding or magnifying that picture? I'd like to see the area right around the 45-mile-an-hour speed sign.
The one that's here?
Yes, please. Because I think...
Zoom in a bunch.
Yeah, zoom in a bunch, because I think we're looking at Rokeby.
Oh, that's the brightness. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Right, Don? Yeah, Rokeby's on the left, Sheridan Lutheran is the tall building, or Southwood Lutheran is the tall building on the right.
So
Yeah.
is it
You're
looking?
looking north.
You're looking north.
You're
Okay.
We're looking north. Rokeby is off to the left.
There's a cone right there
I
where the
see
patch
some
is.
cones. I'm just trying to,
The hole is next to the red
You want me
SUV.
to go
Yes.
larger?
Okay,
Sure.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay, there is the
Thank you.
hole.
okay. The difference is on the day of my accident, the sign that said bump was on like a 5-foot stand that said bump, directly next to the hole. When my brother and I went out Tuesday to take more pictures, the sign still was not in that position. The sign was in the exact same location, but it was on the tripod. It was on a sign that said bump on the tripod. And it was in the same place as the 5-foot one. They took that one out, and this one was on the tripod in the exact same place, directly to the side of the hole. Nothing prior. And Officer Murphy's notes, that was one of her arguments with the city, the person she was talking to. There should have been slowed down the speed. There should have been warnings. There should have been something that told people this is coming up. And being unfamiliar with this stretch, you saw what I saw. I'm going down the road, 43, speed limit's 45. All of a sudden, I'm faced with this missing asphalt. I can't go to the right. On coming in my left, I had to go over that hill, or that hole. I had to go through it. And when I hit that asphalt, the sound and the feel of my car, I swear, I thought the bottom of my car was gonna be left in the road. And it broke my axle and many other parts but it totaled my vehicle. And it was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my life.
Any other questions for Ms. Black? Councilwoman Raybold?
I have a question for Director Elliott.
Okay.
Director Elliott, I forgot what you stated when this photo was taken.
This photo is actually taken by the officer the day of the accident. The dates on all of these, this is when sorry, if you look up here, it says, that's the date the officer pulled it. All of the photos have this. It's also within the police reports that the law department has with the vehicles in the ditch and all of that as well. But this was, my understanding was the officer who took it the day of the accident. And this is facing, heading north. You can see one sign here. You can also see another sign on the back end of it as well. This is how it looked the day of the accident or the crash.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Washington?
So I'm just trying to, same day, you're saying the same day at the time of the accident or after the accident?
After the accident.
Okay, so this is after the accident.
It would have been
Okay.
very shortly after the accident. I'm not aware of anyone having moved the sign. It would not have been moved by LTU staff at this point in time. But it's my understanding it was by the officer while they were investigating the accident.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Raybold?
City Attorney, Christy, do you have anything else to add?
It's unfortunate situation. Fortunately, we have not had any other claims. And so since I have been up here, I've verified with staff at the city attorney's office that we have not had any other claims in this area. And with the police reports and the photos, I mean, typically officer arrives on the scene, takes photos, talks to everyone, prepares a report. So while it would have been done after, they would be responding to the incident.
Any questions? So the same officer that responded to Ms. Black is the same officer who took this picture?
I don't have any reason to believe that it was not the same officer. I can probably find a name, but
I did not.
yeah, I don't have any reason to believe that it was not the same officer. Now, in fairness, right, there could have been more than one officer that arrived, and I don't know, but your computer froze. And so it's possible that there could have been two officers. One took photos, one talked to Ms. Black, so I don't want to
But it was the day of.
Correct. It
okay.
would have been the day of.
Councilwoman Raybold, did you have a question?
No, I just clear my throat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I guess it would be helpful if we could hear from the officer that was present at the time.
I phoned Officer Murphy, it's Officer Taylor Murphy, and left her a message asking her to be here, because I commend her. There were two officers. My accident happened at 4:45. We waited at least a half an hour for her to arrive, and one of the witnesses had his children in the car. And I said, you want to just leave me your name and number and I can have the officer contact. And he insisted no. He was talking to that officer because he had traveled that road and was familiar with that damage.
Would you like to
I
go
don't
to
know
the
why
microphone?
Officer Murphy would be so.
Would you like to come up to the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're fine.
The fact of Officer Murphy, there were two officers. The other one sat in the vehicle the entire time and for about another 45 minutes till the tow trucks took two to get me out of the field. During this time, Officer Murphy, seeing my car, hearing my statement, the witnesses' statements of what happened, took it upon herself, and at least a half hour, she went up, took signs standing up here, because this is directly, when you go here, you're not traveling for a block. At the bottom of this is that hole. She took pictures here. She took pictures of the hole. She took pictures, measurements and everything. And what she came back and said after that is she just said, I've taken all of these pictures. There is no warnings whatsoever on this. Do you realize this could have been a different outcome? And at that point, it hit me. Yeah, I'm doing 360s on oncoming traffic, down an embankment, in a field. I could have died. She, in fact, told the supervisor of the city on the phone, you get somebody out here tonight. I want someone here tonight to fill in this hole. This is dangerous. Somebody could get really hurt. That was part of the conversation. And these are all Officer Murphy's notes. And that other picture of that hole, she showed that to me and she goes, this is what it looks like. And I said, I need to get a picture. And she would not let me go. She said, no, it's too dangerous for me to go stand in the road. Just take it off my phone. That's why there's so many pixels. So Officer Murphy was furious at the scene of that hole and the dangers it posed.
Any further questions for Ms. Black? I guess the one question that I have for you, Ms. Black, is I believe that you're going 43 miles an hour.
43.
43, yeah. And I guess my question that I have, or the question that's like in my mind is, if we were following the rules of the road, going 43 miles an hour, and had the same kind of scenarios as everyone else, why did it happen to you and not multiple people?
When we were out there on Tuesday, my brother and I, the difference is those cones, those cones had been placed, like I said, around the hole. After that strip was poured, according to the witnesses, those cones were not replaced around the hole. That was their warning to drivers. You've come over the hill, now you see a hole, it's got cones, so that says, hey, don't drive into it. I looked to the right, and there was actually 5 cones that are lining the roadway for me to go out onto the embankment. Or I've got left oncoming traffic, and I can see 2 pickups. I had no place to go. All I can say is on Tuesday, those cones were back around that hole. That's where they should have been in the first place, because it gave the driver an outage. Now, there is no way you have not gotten other claims on this, and I'm going to say, because when we were out there was like a Buick from Beatrice. And my brother and I were standing along the side on the west side of 40th. And here came, in the oncoming, was a UPS driver. That Buick, my brother goes, oh my God, back up. And so we went onto the gravel road of Rokeby, because he knew that Buick, who was probably going 35, hit that hole so hard, it was so loud, that car came up, went into oncoming, the UPS guy turned onto Rokeby, otherwise they would have collided. So you can't tell me, but that strip had just been poured. If it weren't for that asphalt strip, that's what my car hit. That's what sounded like it took the whole bottom of my car out. You go down, then you're gonna go up 8 inches, then go down, and then go back up to the street. That created a hazard. But there's no way people haven't complained about wheel alignments, etc. Or you know what? I'm sorry, the word on the street is the city never approves a claim. The city always denies claims. So, it's like a pothole claim. But it's very hard to fill out that tort claim. I was confused. I'm a college graduate. I'm a businesswoman who owns my own agency. I couldn't figure it out. So I don't know why, but I'm telling you, there have been other incidents where they, to the extent of mine, no. My Cadillac even had a stabilizer bar. That should never have happened. My Cadillac only had 52,000 miles, well maintained, and it's still, part of my right axle was still connected to the wheel. The other part was broken away from the car. And then it damaged all the, other wheel parts, whatever's on there, behind it. So,
Are there any?
I didn't do anything wrong. This was not any fault of mine. I wasn't driving erratically. I wasn't speeding. I was totally aware. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock just coming over and seeing this huge hole. And so in 2 seconds, I'm trying to figure out how to not go through it.
Are there any further questions from Ms. Black? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, seeing none, the next step is we're going to see if there's anyone else that would like to speak on any other claims. If there's not, then we move on to item 5B.
Okay.
Once we're done with item 5B, then we move into the voting session. When we vote on section 5A, a council member could make the motion to remove your claim from the denied list. If a council member votes to move or makes a motion to remove your claim from the denied list, and we vote in favor of removing it from the denied list, that means that your claim has been approved.
Okay, I would encourage you to do two things that I couldn't accomplish. Number one, Officer Murphy, badge 1811, I believe, I still have it memorized, goes on duty at 3. I left a message saying that you told me that you were going to pursue this with the city to get this fixed, and told me to do the same thing because you were the cause of my accident and damages. Number two, all I can get is the accident report, which clearly states that I wasn't doing anything wrong, and where it said, was this party responsible for the accident? She answered no. Other party was responsible. What I can't get are her actual office notes, which prove what I'm telling you about calling the supervisor for the street maintenance. There was no sign. That didn't exist. There were no signs. There was no slowing down. Having someone go from 55 to 45 and you're going to hit that, it should have been 15 miles an hour or 20. No signs, and exactly what I'm saying. Those would be in her, and that in her investigation was the cause and the damage responsibility was the city. Those are in her notes taken at the accident scene, and I can't get those. And she obviously couldn't attend today because I had left her a message asking her to.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 5A? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on.
I will call item 5B, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 22003, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan and to approve a proposed amendment to the North 56th Street and Arbor Road redevelopment plan, adding the Lincoln Logistics redevelopment project to include construction of over 900,000 square feet of distribution space on property generally located at 65th Street and Arbor Road.
Good afternoon, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. With me today is Janae Kalkowski, and she's got more interesting renderings than what I can show you, but Arbor Road and 56. So here's 56th, here's Arbor Road. We've been up here with a number of developments that have been going on up in this area, where was a Central Lumber development and Camping World. Those were projects that were on the north side of Arbor Road. This is a large area that's on the south side of Arbor Road. It's going to be a distribution center. What we're anticipating is about a 3-phased project. Each phase would build a building that is somewhat larger than 300,000 square feet and would build over the next several years. You'll also see, I don't know if the annexation agreement has come to this body yet. When they were at Planning Commission, both of these items were at Planning Commission. And the only issue that came from testimony at that point was there is a parcel that is over in this area that becomes completely encapsulated and surrounded by the city, at which point there's an annexation of this area as well. There were no individuals that spoke in opposition, and this received a 6-0 vote at Planning Commission. It has also been before the Urban Design Review Committee. They've looked at the building. I think that what you'll see when you look at the renderings is that they've spent a fair amount of time and expense at developing a building. It's hard to make a 300,000 square foot building look, you know, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to make it out to be the Taj Mahal, but I think they've put in, this is not a metal Quonset that's going to be going up in that area. Sometimes some of the issues that come up would be view corridors off of Interstate 80. This is about probably a 1.5 or 2-story height building. I think the applicant will have signage on his building. It may be visible from I-80, but I don't think that this is an obtrusive building that's that will stand out from the I-80 view corridor either. I'll stop there and ask if there are any questions.
Are there any questions for the director? Councilwoman Raybold?
What is the elevation of the buildings, and if it's a distribution center, why aren't there docks shown on the rectangular building, or just the rectangular building was just a placeholder?
I think that's just a placeholder, and I think Danae's got some renderings of the building. There will be docks there, but thank you for that question. Some of the discussions that have come in there, because this is a newly developing area, is how do we get the driveway access to align with the neighbors that are building on the north side, and there's been a fair amount of discussions of that. In a future phase, is there access to 70th Street that would come to this development so that trucks would have ingress and egress over to 70th Street as well as Arbor Road? That could be at a future point that we'd bring something back in that as well.
But Dan, did you know the elevation of the buildings, or is that something Danae knows?
I think Danae would have the answer for that.
Any other questions for Director Marvin? No. Okay, seeing none. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Danae, you're up to that.
Good afternoon, Danae Kalkowski, 1128 Lincoln Mall, Suite 105. I'm representing Tribedo LLC. They are the owner of the 70 acres that is the subject of the redevelopment plan amendment. Just a couple things. So those are basically just intended to show the buildable areas for the big boxes. So we're talking, over 900,000 square feet in probably three phases, over 300,000 square feet building. So there's one of the reasons for the need for TIF out here is that there's a lot of site work that needs to be done to provide level grading pad sites for this size of a building. But they're a prototype building that works for them on the type of business that they're trying to encourage and get to come to Lincoln. So they are looking at this as last mile distribution facilities, 3 phases. I think they're intending to bring national and global trends with the type of product that they're trying to put here. They've got similar buildings that have been done in the Papillion area and that are leasing up really well. They've had a lot of good interest on this and why their desire to keep moving on this project. I don't have the exact elevation, Jane, but it looks like about a two-story building. We aren't asking for any height waiver or anything, so we're going to be in compliance with the I-2 zoning here. And so you will have docks down along. Docks will be on the south side, so the front side facing. All the loading and stuff will occur from the south side, so you won't have the docks on the north side of the building that would be facing toward the interstate. Obviously, the proximity of this site to the interstate is a big draw for it, as well as it being one of the few areas in the city where we have industrial all around us. And so, there's a great need for additional industrial sites, and this is just a great location. I don't think, land use-wise, there's really any question about it. So it's one of our sites that is appropriate for the industrial development. We're talking about probably overall an $89 million investment for all 3 phases, about $13 million of that being TIF and $76 million in private investment. As Dan mentioned, the schematic plans were submitted and presented to the Urban Design Committee, and they were approved, so we have that approval. We're working right now on the redevelopment agreement. We held up the annexation and the change of zone after Planning Commission to bring the whole package to you together. So we'll have the redevelopment agreement, the annexation, the change of zone, annexation agreement, bond ordinance. There'll probably be 6 or 7 items on your agenda to hear all at once for the complete package. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? Councilwoman Washington?
I have a question, but I realize that my question is probably better for staff.
Okay.
But because I'm kind of curious with the layout of it. The project, I don't have any questions about your project per se.
Okay.
But it did look like there was a lot that was landlocked, and I was just curious where they get their egress.
Or both.
I just want to come, maybe you want to leave actually too.
So ingress and egress was going to be off of Arbor Road, closer to,
For this project. But what about the landlocked parcel?
the parcel to the
South.
east or to the,
Southwest. West of this project. And I don't know that it's this project's responsibility, but now that I've looked at the map, it looks like somebody's gets landlocked.
oh, but is that there was somebody that owned some wetlands to the south, and that's the area that is being annexed in at a future point.
Yes.
Is that what?
Wetlands.
That is a wetlands area. I'm not sure what that parcel's needs are in terms of access off of there.
Interesting.
There's a bit of a rise there. Okay.
Any other questions for Danae or Dan?
No.
Real quick, Dan, we're not annexing or doing anything. This is just a comp
Yep.
amendment, correct?
Redevelopment plan amendment only.
Yeah.
Hang on one second.
Oh, I should use my
None of us
microphone?
would have them turned
Oh,
on.
okay.
All right, perfect. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on item 5B? Anyone else that would like to speak on item 5B? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on these items. Item 5A is accepting and approving the reports of new and pending claims against the city for March 16th through March 31st, 2022, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing Councilwoman Raybold?
I'd like to request a 1-week delay, if possible. I would like an opportunity to reread some of the police reports and actually reach out to Officer Murphy for clarification on some of the photos that were taken.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion on a 1-week delay? Councilwoman Washington?
Is the motion to delay for the one item or the entire report?
Thank you for clarifying. I'd like to delay on this one item by Ms. Black for 1 week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Christie?
Understand that the motion is for 1 week, but I think you probably mean the next time claims.
Yeah.
It's not always the next week, but we will, if the motion is approved, we will notify her. So if you could just maybe clarify to the next time that claims are brought before you.
You cool with that?
Yes, I think.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Moved and seconded by McGinnis. Okay, awesome. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll on Councilwoman Raybold's motion to delay?
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Schob?
No.
Washington?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
No.
Motion carried 5-2.
No motion.
In motion?
Yep, main motion. Any discussion on the main motion?
No.
Okay, seeing none, may we please call roll on the main motion?
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5B is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 22003, application of the Urban Development Director to review as a conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan and to approve a proposed amendment to the North 56th Street and Arbor Road redevelopment plan, adding the Lincoln Logistics redevelopment project to include construction of over 900,000 square feet of distribution space on property generally located at 65th Street and Arbor Road, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Councilman McGinnis.
Yeah, I think Councilperson Washington brought up that this one lot is going to be landlocked and with no access easements through for anybody else's property to access it. It is in the floodplain, but that hasn't, so's all the other buildings and places that have been put up down here. So I think I'm okay with approving this for the comp plan amendment, but at some point I'd like to know if the owner is okay with being a total landlocked piece. I know what it was for. It's for Pheasants Unlimited. So
okay.
the idea was it to be that way, but it's
still,
no longer going to be outside the city limits, so you won't be able to use it for their purpose that they had it.
very good point. And but still, everybody should be able to access their land without trespassing. So let's figure that one out.
Any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none? Oh,
I'm
Councilman
sorry.
Shob?
Mr. McGinnis, help me. You said it won't be outside the city limits anymore. Are we annexing?
We'll be annexing it as part of this
Well, we'll have
agreement.
that conversation in the future.
Yeah, in the future, we will be. That's what,
Yeah.
at this point, we're fine with putting this through as a comp plan amendment.
Thank you.
Councilman Beckius?
Yes, I just wanted to state, I think as Danae mentioned, obviously this particular use fits well within the uses around it, and I'll be voting in support of the amendment to the comp plan. But furthermore, I just wanted to add as well, this type of service in Lincoln, this type of product in Lincoln will really, I think, add a whole lot of benefit to the citizens of Lincoln, even if they don't necessarily understand what these warehouses will do and how they will impact their day-to-day life. So I'm looking forward to this project. Thanks. Sorry.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that concludes section 5 of our agenda. We'll move on to section 6, public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. Item 6A is approving a contract between the city and Lincoln Haymarket Development Corporation to operate and regulate a Saturday public market in the Haymarket area from May 7th, 2022 through October 15th, 2022, and May 6th of 2023 through October 14th of 2023.
Hello. Hi, I'm Linda Hupka, 3169 Puritan Avenue, and I'm your farmer's market manager, host, mom, safety officer, electrician, janitor.
All of the above.
Yes. So it's an even years. We are back here for our contract renewal for 2 years, and apparently it's gone so smoothly you don't need to see us every year. Yep.
Any further questions?
I just wanted to say I recognize you as the queen of the whistle.
That would be me, yes. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to another couple of years of farmers markets.
Okay.
And that whistle being blown right on the dot.
Yeah, they are after me. And if you want to be a guest whistleblower, any one of you can come down here at 8 o'clock and do it. I'm glad to share that.
We're listening to her song on that one.
Yeah. We've been challenged the past couple of years with COVID 2 years ago, and then we resumed kind of normal activity last year, but we have vendors that are coming back to us this year. We plan to be back on Canopy Street more consistently, so it should be a bigger, better blast. Come visit us.
Any further questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on item 6A? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
I'll be calling item 6B, approving the equipment lease agreement between the City of Lincoln and Exchange Bank for the lease and financing of maintenance golf carts for a 58-month term.
Good afternoon, Len Johnson with Lincoln Parks and Recreation. This is a lease agreement for 10 golf maintenance vehicles. We use we use these vehicles to get equipment supplies out on the courses. Typically, we've integrated the lease of these with the golf cart lease, and we've separated at this point. So this is a lease agreement for 10 of these units that would be distributed across the 5 golf courses, but would be for a 58-month term, and the total cost would be $50,962.40,
and we are building these funds into the upcoming operating budget. And I would let you know that we're getting the version of this without the dog, just so you know.
And help with the geese. Maybe it'd help with the,
Yeah.
I love working breeds. This is good.
the dog would help with the geese.
Well, we definitely tried that. We can't keep them off of 70th Street, so.
Are there any questions for Director Johnson?
Not for him, but maybe for our city attorney.
Okay.
I got a question for you then. Maybe you could answer it. Are these leased to purchase?
No, they are just a straight lease, so we'll
So
turn
at
them
the
in.
end of the term, we turn them back in?
We turn them back in, and
Okay.
they're pretty used, to be honest, they're pretty used up at the end of the 5-year period.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
That concludes our section 6. We'll move on to section 7, ordinances, third reading and related resolutions. Item 7A is change of zone 20036, application of Chance Handshaw to change from AG Agriculture District to H3 Highway Commercial District on property generally located at 8230 South 91st Street, introduced by Show.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion?
Have an amendment?
Next one.
Okay.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please.
Beckius?
I'm sorry,
Keep going.
Bidding?
These were tied together, and it was a weird thing. If one goes, one was conditional on the other, or something like that. It was.
do you want to have Director Carey
I
reiterate?
would, yes.
Okay.
Dr. Carey, would you help me? I'm a little confused. Hell, I'm a lot confused. My middle name should be confused.
Oh, probably not.
David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. I will attempt to unconfuse.
Yes, we're zone changing, and we're doing two things with this piece of property. And we have two different items on our agenda.
Correct. So there's the change of zone, and then there is a related zoning agreement. So I'll try to encapsulate where we're at right now. The staff and then the Planning Commission recommended denial of the change of zone. There has been work done on a zoning agreement that is attachment A on your agenda today, and there is a motion to amend that would adopt attachment A, which is the form of the zoning agreement that planning has worked on with members of the council as well as with the applicant to say, if you are going to approve the change of zone, then we highly recommend that you approve this zoning agreement to go along with it. And what that does is that the zoning agreement includes a requirement to dedicate right-of-way for a public street and to build a public street as being the main point of discussion for that prior to the approval and issuance of a building permit for use of the site under the new zoning that would, if the zoning is changed. So I think where we're at is that if you approve the change of zone, when it comes to the zoning agreement, we then recommend that you approve attachment A as presented today. If you deny the change of zone, then you really don't need to, I think you still need to act on that item, but it's not something that is really active at that point because you have denied the change of zone.
Right.
And to follow up on that, this property is outside the city limits, but it's within our 3-mile jurisdiction, so we can change the zoning on it?
Yes, it's in the 3-mile jurisdiction of the city, so the zoning and subdivision regulations apply. And I will remind everybody, this is immediately outside of our city limits in the Cheney SID, which is what makes this unique versus other situations that are that close in. Otherwise, we would be annexing the property along with whatever improvements would be required.
Councilwoman Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Director Carey, just for clarification purposes, for me, if we do adopt the motion to amend with item 7B, does that take care of the does that satisfy the planning department issues from days gone by?
It certainly is the way that we recommend doing it if you approve the change of zone.
Okay.
Our recommendation still stands with the planning commission, which is to deny the change of zone.
Yes.
However, I understand that there's been a lot of conversation, and we're trying to provide adequate outcomes in either direction.
Okay.
That's what that work was done for that
Right.
agreement.
Between all the parties.
Right.
In the last few weeks. Okay, thank you very much.
Councilwoman Raybold?
Mr. Carey, the conditions of approval on the change of zone that were put forward by the planning department, they list A, B, C, D, E, and F. This is sort of a follow-up question to Councilwoman Ward's concern or request. I believe the planning department came up with these conditions. Is that right? That conditions of on-site specific conditions that was part of the packet before or after the planning commissioners reviewed it? I'm not sure.
The planning commission did not take action on any of that. That was information that was being discussed at the time.
Oh, okay. And so
the planning commission doesn't take action on that type of an item.
okay, and then who came up with the site-specific conditions? The developer signs a zoning agreement prior to approval of this request by the city council, which includes the following conditions.
So planning staff did work on what we felt like would be adequate if the change of zone were to be approved. The applicant and the landowner did have their own version of that, a couple of different versions. So there have been different versions of that along the process. And so we've gotten to a point now where this is the version that, again, if the change of zone were to be approved, that this is what is in front of you for action today.
So just to follow up, the changes that are in the motion to amend number 1, does the planning department feel that they actually, the motion to amend satisfies the conditions that were set forth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we worked, just to be clear, we worked with the law department to make sure that the language was where we needed it to be.
Right, and I think the most important thing was that the street must get built before a building permit would be granted.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for Director Curry? Councilman Beckius?
Well, I just wanted to confirm, voting no is in favor of the change of zone because you're recommending denial. Is that correct?
No.
That's not the way we do it.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, we would just want to make sure that the motion, believe the motion that's out there right now is motion to approve the change of zone.
Motion to approve. Okay, very good.
So to be
That
clear,
was confusing for me for a couple of years.
voting no is essentially voting in favor of the planning department, voting yes is voting in favor of and Post and Crew.
On the change of zone.
On the change of zone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So for 7A, a vote of no is in support of the planning department's original recommendation. On 7B, voting no, again, is voting with the planning department, and voting yes is voting with
The applicant.
Post and Crew. And I'll just hopefully
Sounds like a
clarify
great
that.
law firm.
So hopefully clarify that a little. If you vote to change the zoning in favor of the change of zone, I recommend you approve the motion to amend attachment A for item 7B.
We'll see if we get there.
Right.
Okay. Any further questions? Or any further clarification? Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're ready to vote.
Yep, let's call the roll.
Calling the roll on item 7A, Beckius,
Yes.
Ward,
No.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
No.
Raybold,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
No.
Motion carried 4-3. Item 7B, approving a conditional annexation and zoning agreement between the city and Chance Handshaw property generally located at 8230 South 91st Street, introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend 22R80 by adopting the substitute attachment that was in our packet to replace the change of zone agreement with terms acceptable to the city.
Second.
Second? Yeah.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Raybold. Any discussion on Councilman Beckius's motion to amend? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll on Councilman Beckius's motion to amend.
Ward,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
No.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-1.
Okay, now we're back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion? Councilman Beckius?
Yeah, I would just like to say, throughout this process, we're moving in a direction here that's a little different. But on the other hand, as the city continues to expand and grow, and we will need to figure these things out. We are given the authority to carve out and create the world around us within 3 miles, so that when the city grows and we actually take over spots, we can try to do our best to make sure that we have developed a corridor around us that makes sense. We need to make sure that we're exercising those things appropriately. I think here we are. But I don't want to rely on a situation where we simply don't allow expansion because it's not in the city, but rather let's use the tools available to us to make sure that the expansion that we allow around the city conforms to what the city will eventually become as these areas grow into the city.
Councilwoman Raybold?
I'm going to vote in support, and I want to thank Councilwoman Washington and Councilmember Beckius, and of course the applicant for really working through some of these difficult issues. It's a little bit unique for us, but I think Councilman Beckius said it the best. We have to be flexible. We have to come up with these suggestions and solutions and compromises that allow us to do development, but keep in mind those each individual situations that present ourselves, because we do want development, we do want housing, we do want commercial development to continue, but it really has to fit into the conditions that are established by the planning department to make sure that it should be a seamless development.
Do Councilman McGinnis, then Councilwoman Washington.
Yeah, and I agree with all that. And I want to thank you guys to be able to put this together. I think this is something that, and I want to thank the applicant because they've done a Herculean effort to try to get a small business developed in Southeast Lincoln. So this is one of the first of many, I hope, that can come on that.
Not yet Southeast Lincoln.
Well, Southeast Lincoln, it's a small business. It's a 10,000 square foot. It's a little business, and I'm surprised that the applicant stuck it out this long and put up. And just some of the things we've asked them to do just didn't really make common sense. But we're going to get there, and the applicants agreed to it, so we're going to move forward.
Getting to yes.
Councilwoman Washington?
Thank you. I want to just add the shortest amount here. I'm really thankful that the applicant was flexible and that we could negotiate something here. And I know this is unusual, and I'm sure I'll get a little bit of grief for this one. But I'm doing it because I think we need to look at individual situations with an eye of flexibility. And I look forward to having this annexed inside the city at some point in the near future. It won't be this year, but it'll be soon. I am hopeful.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7C is amending section 10.46.110 of the Lincoln Municipal Code relating to vending from trucks on city residential streets, provided that trucks are not hindering or obstructing traffic, and repealing section 10.46.110 of the Lincoln Municipal Code as hereto existing. Introduced by Ward.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Councilwoman Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I am going, before I move to withdraw it, I just want to say for the record that 7C, which I'm going to move to withdraw, actually will become item 9A on first reading. And I want to thank Mr. Christie and the Law Department staff and the Health Department for making this ordinance in the shape that we need it to be to help our food truck vendors. So with that, I will move to please withdraw item number 7C from our agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion on the motion to withdraw? Okay, seeing none. Councilman Schob?
I'd like Mr. Christie to come up and help me understand if we make a motion, we have a motion to approve on the agenda, we just made a motion to withdraw. Does the first motion go away when we do that, Mr. Christie? When we withdraw it, the other one just dies for lack of? So, should I ask my question again?
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that when I.
Quite all right. So as item 7C, it was introduced by Ward, and I seconded, and then there's a brief conversation. There was a motion to withdraw, which got a second by Councilwoman Raybold. Once we vote on the withdrawal, does the other one just go away, or do we have to go back to that?
Oh, the other one, you mean the motion before too?
Motion to approve initially, and then now it's been made a motion to withdraw. That takes care of everything, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The motion to withdraw. We're voting on the motion to withdraw.
Then we don't have to vote on the motion to approve.
Correct.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that I
Yes.
understood that correctly. It goes bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Christie, I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may you please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Should've said
Beckius,
bye-bye.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7D is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter W by creating the classification of Assistant Director of Aging Partners, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7E is amending pay schedule for employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range which is prefixed by A by changing the pay range class 1342 police records manager from A13 to A16, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7F is amending pay schedule for employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range, which is prefixed by A by changing the pay range class 3143, crime analysis manager from A13 to A15, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7G, amending Lincoln Municipal Code Section 2.76.145 Compensation Plan, Merit Pay Plan, Administration and Requirements for Advancement, Section 2.76.150 Compensation Plan, Merit Plan, Pay Increases for Exceptional Service, and Section 2.76.153 Compensation Plan, Merit Pay Plan, Shift Differential to reflect changes in the Lincoln Municipal Code that coincide with page labor contract changes, effective August 19, 2021, by amending Section 2.76.200 Compensation Plan, Temporary Assignment in a Higher Classification to remove crew leader pay by amending Section 2.76.202 Wage Adjustment to remove crew leader and repealing Sections 2.76.145, 2.76150, 2.76153, 2.76200, 276.202 of the Lincoln Municipal Code as hereto existing, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7H is adopting the supplement to the Lincoln Municipal Code dated June 2021 and December 2021 as part of the official Lincoln Municipal Code, introduced by McGinnis.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Ward,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7I is annexation 22002, application of Matador LLC to annex approximately 50.53 acres, more or less, on property generally located at South 94th and Van Dorn Streets, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Raybold. Any discussion?
Good thing.
Yep. More housing.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, may you please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7J is change of zone 17030D, application of Matador LLC to change from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District PUD planned unit development to expand a Wandering Creek planned unit development by 51.53 acres, more or less, for an additional residential area, and to adjust the lot layout of the residential transition area with associated waivers, property generally located at South 94th and Van Dorn Streets, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Ward?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes our ordinances, third reading and related resolutions, section 7. Section 8 is resolutions first readings, items 8A through 8D. Section 9 is ordinances first reading and related resolutions, items 9A through 9J. And our pending list date certain is section 10.
Tonight is the public comment session. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not plan to appear on a future agenda may do so at the open microphone session. And I see some of my wilderness friends out there, so just to remind folks, the wilderness project is going to be on the next, is on our upcoming agenda, so we can't have public comment on it tonight. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak, regardless of the number of topics. When you come up, please just state your name and your address. And for the month of April, today is an open microphone session, and the next one will be April 25th. Is there anyone that would like to address the council at this time?
Bless you.
A minute before we adjourn.
Good afternoon, council members of Lincoln. My name is Lou Bratz. Again, I live at 5020 South 56th Street here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Father, homeowner, take your pick, whatever titles you need to listen to me. I am here tonight again to speak on the same subject I was 1 month and 1 week ago, which is the ever-growing urgency in a food insecure community known as our home city of Lincoln, Nebraska. I was actually sent back by my site supervisor to speak with you tonight, but before I get to what she wanted me to tell y'all, I would like to share with you a quote. It's from David Nasby, who used to be the head of General Mills, and he spoke that America is the richest country in the world, and yet tonight thousands of our neighbors will go to bed hungry. It may be your child's schoolmate who is undernourished and has difficulty learning because of their empty stomach. Could be a coworker, a working mother whose low-wage job doesn't make ends meet, or perhaps it's an elderly neighbor who has to make that too common decision of whether to delay filling a prescription or buying groceries. The faces of hunger are as broad as the faces of America. The faces of hunger are as broad as the faces of our community of opportunity, Lincoln, Nebraska. I went back to FoodNet after I got done speaking with you folks the next Wednesday, and I had done what I often do, which is go run my mouth without telling anybody so that nobody could tell me no. And I went back, and Benny's laughing because he knows how I go.
Better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Then beg permission. And my site supervisor, Bev, comes up to me. She's like, I heard you were downtown. I said, yep. She's like, I watched the whole thing. I was like, what'd you think? She's like, you forgot to ask them something. I know I'm not supposed to ask y'all something or expect an answer in return, even though y'all can ask all of us questions and you kind of expect the answer in return, but this is an invite. Bev has invited all of you to come down at your convenience. We operate at the Crystal Way Church on 41st and J. Every Wednesday, there will be people there working from the ages of 99 to, sometimes you got high school kids, but I'm usually the youngest at 42, from 9 a.m. in the morning till 7 p.m. that evening. All she asks is that you come down and you talk to her, you talk to the other volunteers, maybe you talk to a few of the people in their cars as they're doing drive-through service. But when you do this, she asks that you don't bring cameras. This isn't a press opportunity. This isn't a photo op. This is a chance for y'all to engage with the working poor of this community in a way that is too often not done. So with those two things, that's for you. For the community at large, I never am unsure how I do this. How much time do I have? Thank you. Is this upside down right?
Turn it around. Yeah. Perfect.
Never get this right. This is for the community. Because I know too many people that are trying to scramble to figure out how to keep their kids fed or how to keep their stomachs from rumbling when they go to bed. And this right here is the only organization in this town that every day, Sunday to Sunday, has a place where you could go to get food. This right here, much like another organization, doesn't ask for your name, doesn't ask for no income requirements, anything like that. You show up and say, I need, and we'll take care of. No greed. So I just want the whole city to see this that's watching. And if you're a business owner or somebody that can help out, the info's there for you as well, whether you're a restaurant or a grocery store. Thank you all very much. Hope you all have a pleasant evening.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time?
Is this any topic?
Any topic, yes, ma'am.
Got lost in the ordinances. Sorry. Hi, my name is Patty Nielsen. I live at 3348 Woods Avenue in Lincoln. I am a member of this committee. We have formed this committee, and in opposition to what we are hearing is conceptual ideas for adding more tennis courts at Woods Park. We've lived in the Woods Park area for 45 years, and there are a lot of neighbors who have been there for many years. I'm just going to read a statement off of the flyer that we are in the process of handing out. It says, we're a group of passionate park lovers who want to keep Woods Park green. Current conceptual plans for the tennis facility would expand its footprint, including a new parking lot, new courts, and a new building. If these changes occur, the park would lose precious trees and green space. We're handing these out to the neighborhoods of the Witherby and Hartley and Woods neighborhood associations, kind of, I guess, to get ready for what we know is going to happen. It has not happened. The proposal has not been made to the Park Advisory Board at this point. And with Lynn Johnson retiring, we're not sure what the time frame will look like. Initially, when we started talking about this, they said 2 to 3 months, and we know it won't be that. But that kind of, we got into action because we feel so strongly about it. So that's it at this time. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming down. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? All right, Councilman Jobe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to take a moment to tell the audience that I spent Friday afternoon with my friends from the El Centro de las Americas at their Wine Chocolate Tango event. I'd like to thank them for inviting me. A good time was had by me. And then Sunday, I got to spend time with my friends from the Baha'is of Lincoln, a group that's talking about being more inclusive and a diverse cultural community. And I had a wonderful time, and I'd like to thank them also for their invite. And I encourage everyone in Lincoln to get involved with your neighbors, to talk with your neighbors, and try to build a stronger, better community for all of us.
Well said.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Well said, Benny.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and call the roll, please.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
We stand adjourned.